Good morning. We are coming to you live on the Women in Business Summit page for a morning interview with one of our featured speakers. I'm Christy Sullivan. I am one of the advisory board committee members for WIB, Women in Business, and we are excited to be having our annual event coming up on July 30th and 31st. All the information will be in the notes below, the comments below this. And this morning I get the great opportunity to talk with not only one of our featured speakers, but my good friend, Candi Sterling. Good morning, Candi.
Good morning, Christy. How are you?
I'm fantastic and just so excited. This is, I think, my second interview, but first with one of our speakers. And I love you and want to just feature all the great things that make you who you are this morning.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Last year's summit was my first one, so attending, and I was blown away. So to be here this morning with you and just super excited about this entire initiative. It's really, really great. It just has been firing me up all spring and now as we move into summer, which is going to be really fun. Can't wait for July.
So great to hear that you were an attendee last year and that you are here this year as a speaker. We're really excited. Just a quick intro for folks who haven't read up on Candi yet. Candi is the founder of a personal brand mastery platform called On Her Mission. And she believes that confidence is paramount to the global success of women entrepreneurs, something close to my heart. So I am so excited and want to find out more. I think everybody wants to kind of learn more of what you do. So give us a little overview about your mission and why you're doing it.
Absolutely. So as Christy's shared already, my name is Candi Sterling. I'm a personal brand strategist, and typically I work with women who are the face of their business and are just in need of more buzz about what they do, are looking for more opportunities, or looking to connect with more people. And what I do is I work them through a five-phase program that I have in my business. It's a signature system, if you will, and that really helps them to develop a magnetic presence, a strategy that is clear and solid, and also at the same time building that confidence up in terms of their personal branding and their personal branding approach. And I think that personal branding is different from business branding in that the confidence piece is so critical because it's about you showing up. You're it. And so for that reason, there needs to be a personal development piece and personal growth piece integrated into the marketing and the communications and the strategy and the conceptualization, all of it, and tying it all together. And that's what I've learned over the past, more than a decade of being in the communications and marketing space. So it's really exciting to have created a platform and be working with some amazing women to just help them get to the next level. So
that's great to hear, and sounds like it can be really fun. Who are the types of people that you've worked with? Can you give us some examples?
Absolutely. So I have worked with a variety of people. So from people who are in the creative entrepreneurs, your stylists, your makeup artists, to women in the financial space who are in, a little bit more of a different kind of branding that's needed. I got my start in commercial real estate. So one of my first projects early on was helping to brand and market the former head of leasing for the World Trade Center, and he wrote a book on negotiation. So that was sort of my foray into how to build out a personal brand around a product like a book. And then from there, it just took off. And so yeah, it's a huge variety. I've worked in the communications and the health foods industry, and other women in particular that I've worked with, I would say it just ranges from anyone in sales or any woman entrepreneur that has really been working to get her ground up, whether that's an original brand or if she happens to be a representative or an advocate for a parent company as well. So I do help people who are in need of that type of brand navigation kind of get their own personal touch out there.
So you're going to be coming to our summit, which is virtual this year and online, July 30th through 31st, the 15th annual, but our first online. And what are you going to be sharing with us? What are you going to be talking about tips? I understand, I think you're on a panel. So anything you want to say about the content?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to be sharing a lot about actionable approaches that can be taken right now. So because of the year that we've had, there's been so many shifts and so many changes. And so one of the talks that I typically have focused on in the past was how to show up in, public appearance preparation, right? So what I've done is basically taking that concept, but creating something where I can share a little bit more deeply on showing up in a capacity that's virtual, making virtual first impressions are going to be some of the things I'm going to be talking and sharing about. In addition to, I have a whole talk on how to cultivate your power network. And so when we went into quarantine, one of the things that kind of went away, but not really, was obviously in-person networking transitioned over to virtual. And so a lot of people have now been navigating that space. And if you have been doing that, little tips and tricks to sort of up level in that space, as well as your networking and building out, you're continuing to build out your network, which is essential for any woman in business.
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's going to be really useful. Like you said, we've had quite a year. So when it comes to your business, and since our audience here are entrepreneurs and you yourself are a successful one, what did you find that you shifted this year with everything going on, still going on? So how has your business shifted? How have you been what I call nimble?
Nimble. So being in this space, in the consulting space, a lot of my work was capable of being virtual. So before this, it was more in person, obviously. And so utilizing the tools have been essential. My background is in information technology, so I'm very familiar with a lot of the tools that are out there, and helping others navigate and sharing those tools. But for me, it's been about staying really grounded, staying very focused, because this has all happened very quickly. And I remember that in the beginning of the year, I made a vision board, and as I know many of us have, and in the vision board, I left space. I left a little space there for something unknown, right? Something new and unknown. And little did I know what that thing would be. And so little did I know. But what it did leave room for was transformation, right? It left room for an evolution. And that's kind of what I believe that space is being filled with. And so for me, the big pivot has come from the ability to develop even more products during this time to serve my clients. So I'm really excited because I'm personally emerging from this pandemic with at minimum 3 new products that I can now bring to market within my business, and also another business partnership that has evolved during this time as well. So it's really about thinking ahead for the future. So not getting bogged down in, okay, we're all navigating the moment, but how will we emerge on the other end, on the other side of this? And that's really been my focus and the major pivot, because I was so focused beforehand on 2020. Now this has really been the pivot to, this is the jump off point for 2021 and moving forward from that. So that's been my big aha during this time.
That's great. And interesting to hear about like new partnerships, because I've heard that as well from others, people connecting, pivoting, also just birthing new things. And it's really, I like how you said this is preparing for 2021. I feel like we're in this like new year, beginning of January, where everyone's excited and kind of setting their goals. And it's like, we've been in this big pause button, and had to just prepare for the other side, whatever that is. So it's good to hear, that you're a firsthand testimony of having new products, new partnerships, because it's really important. I think we're going to be hearing that a lot when we have our summit, when we talk about what are folks doing, and I think, you know, it's going to be interesting that we're going to be online and virtual. I want to shift a little bit because you and I also share a connection with another entrepreneurial effort called Believe, Inspire, Grow, or BIG. I ran this women's networking group here in my local area a few years ago, and you do that now in your area. So tell us a little bit about that. BIG has been just a great organization for me and really supportive of WIB as well. We've seen a lot of women from BIG come to our summit. So tell us about what you're doing and also maybe how that's shifted.
Oh, absolutely. So yes, Believe, Inspire, Grow has been a huge part of this whole time, and both as a source of inspiration, but also as a business focus, as I co-lead in Fairfield County, that area with one of my business partners, Mary Doherty. And so during this time, we really pivoted in that we were an in-person only events platform for the most part, with a few calls here or there, virtual calls before, but now it's every single day there are events for women to plug into that are virtual. It has spawned and launched a new virtual membership, which we're very excited about, and as well as other initiatives that are coming off of that. And in terms of BIG, it is here to stay. Virtual is here to stay. And for those that don't know what Believe, Inspire, Grow is, it is a women's empowerment organization that is committed to bringing the inspiration, community, and tools to women to help them succeed personally and professionally. So it really does align well with me and my business and what I do, and of course, in my vision for how I want to help other women entrepreneurs out there. So, but with BIG, it's just been, you know, really firsthand, boots on the ground, reaching out to all of our members and making sure that they're okay and making sure that they have what they need and having those conversations. And that's been really great to have a home-based community, I would say. I'm part of several, but having a community, I would say I would always encourage any woman in business to do that, because when times shift or get rocky, and you have people that you can reach out to, and that's been really helpful to be part of that and to be part of that source for women that we've spoken with over the past several weeks. So
I call it the tribe, and I say it in a way of, you know, the community that we all need. That community changes and shifts over time, and now it's becoming more global than ever, because I know I'm connecting with people virtually outside of the local area. But again, you know, you can never lose that connection to the local folks. So you're right when, you know, you say that's so important. Okay, I want to make one last shift, and that's to the area of self-care. This again is dear to my heart because I am right now on a mission in my business to reach women, to give them the permission for self-care, whether that's through yoga or meditation or healing. And there's so many definitions of what self-care is. So it's a trending topic. What would you say has been your self-care, and how is it incorporated right now in what you're doing for yourself?
absolutely. So self-care is huge. And for me, it's actually a core part of my signature program because I just believe in it so greatly and so deeply. And for myself with self-care, you know, the world right now, everything's always shifting, right? And there's so many things we can't control. So for me, the self-care has really been focusing on what can I control, right? And so for my own personal routines, it's really been a great morning and morning ritual and a night ritual has been really, really helpful for me these past couple of weeks. Meditation and just getting a really clear head has been really also really helpful, just taking that time. You know, we've been given the gift of time in a lot of ways, and not everybody has been given that gift during that time, depending on what you do professionally. But if you have found yourself some extra time, you know, use it for you, and so I've been using that from a meditation standpoint. And also I think it's important to pamper ourselves. So now that we're coming out a little bit out of quarantine, remember to treat yourself, and that's part of the self-care is really feeling your best. I'm sure many of us haven't really gotten dressed for real in a very long time, and so pamper yourself a little bit and just like honor you in that way, I think is a really important part of the piece, because of how it's internalized and how it can really stir up levels of confidence and just fulfillment. And I think that that's really, really important. And the third thing I will share is I have been learning a lot about EQ, emotional intelligence, and sort of navigating emotions and self-awareness. And so I would say that for anybody who hasn't explored that, to definitely look into those types of practices where you're gaining awareness of how you operate on a higher level, because that's part of self-care as well, is understanding your own emotions, especially when we probably run through so many during the days when we're having all these little meetings on Zoom. It's just so much more is packed into the day for those of us who are busy and doing that. And so that's a huge piece of it, is managing emotional care as well. So
Definitely. And like you just said, not everybody has time for it. Some of us have been gifted the time. I think those who don't feel that they have are realizing the value of time. But you said something interesting, and I call it the bookends, morning and evening. I mean, we hopefully are getting at some point some sleep. So before you go to sleep and then when you wake up, it's like brushing your teeth. That's going to happen. So those are a point when you can do things like even just checking in with your emotions as self-care. It doesn't have to be, like you said, pampering is great. And that might be that special day that you're doing something when you do have time, but just self-care can be in the small increments. And I love that you pointed out the emotional part of that, because it's not just physical, like exercise and diet, it's actually also spiritual and emotional. And I can hear that through what you're doing. That's great. Any other things that you want to just leave us with? We're going to wrap it up in a minute. Anything, where can we find you? How about that? Where can we get your information? If, of course, we're going to check you out on July 30 and 31st at the 15th Annual Women in Business Summit online. And where can we find you in the meantime? On Facebook? Where are your handles?
absolutely. So to find me, and I invite everybody to find me personally, Candi Sterling. So it's candisterling.com, CandiSterling. Very simple. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. My handle on Instagram is @Candi Sterling. And then from there are little breadcrumbs and nuggets to all of my endeavors and projects, including my business On Her Mission, including my women's empowerment community, Believe, Inspire, Grow, that I'm part of, and all the other amazing communities that I'm part of as well. Ladies Power Lunch, eWomen Network. There's several of just really rock star communities of women. And so I love to shed a light on that as well. And so I look forward to seeing everybody online in July. I just can't wait. I'm moderating the entrepreneurship panel, and I'll be on the branding panel as well. And so connect with me. And there's also some free goodies and things that I have this summer as well. So be sure to connect, and I can't wait to see everyone.
Amazing. That's fantastic. You're amazing. Thank you so much for joining us again. For those who are tuning in, we're going to have links in the comments to all the information we talked about, online links, of course, registration link for our summit so you can join Candi and me at the 15th annual event coming up the end of July. So thank you so much, Candi. Loved having you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Christy. This is a pleasure. And bye, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the week.